All right, hello there. Welcome back to another Transits and Tarot video where I go over the daily planetary moves and explain them using tarot cards. So I really like doing this. It helps me to connect with these planetary changes in a different way and in a way that I really enjoy. So I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Let's go ahead and get started. There are about, I believe it's like 9 transits happening today, Wednesday, June 11th. So just as a reminder, the times I mention are Pacific times. Okay, so first planetary transit here is happening at 12:44 a.m. and that's going to be the moon in Sagittarius opposing the sun in Gemini. And so this is actually going to be our full moon situation happening here, okay? So here's the opposition card. Here we have the moon in Sagittarius represented by the 9 of Wands. And here is the sun in Gemini, which is represented by the 10 of Swords. Okay. And so again, this is our full moon planetary situation here. Pretty great. I'm going to do a separate full moon tarot reading, so do look out for that. But in the meantime, we can here just look at the little themes that we have going on. The sun being in Gemini is all about the spirit of the season right now, right? Which is this idea of kind of a lightheartedness. People are looking forward to the summer that's coming, might be having some fun plans going on, and how that might be opposing with people's internal life. So maybe on a deeper level, we have here the individual looking and searching for meaning. Sagittarius is all about that higher purpose, that deeper meaning. And so that's how we can see that opposition happening, right? Kind of more surface level with more meaningful emotions over here. And so while these things might be a bit of at odds there, since they are opposing 180-degree aspect there, there is some sort of commonality there. And I think that can come through this idea of communication. Both Sagittarius and Gemini are kind of communicative zodiac signs. And so that's how maybe we can bridge this gap here, knowing what things we're ready to release and move on from, because that's what the 10 of Swords and the sun in Gemini is all about. It's about moving on. We've come to this close of an idea. We've come to the close of this situation here. And now we're looking for the new thing, the new sun that's coming. We're looking to actually greet the summer, which we're right around the corner here for that. But so knowing what things to release during this full moon and what things we need to be guarded about, and kind of take step by step following the Temperance card here, right? What needs to be kind of done more carefully, one step at a time. And so again, I will have a full tarot reading for this full moon, but just a quick glance here at the planetary transition here happening at 12:44 a.m. From there, we move on to a trine, which will be at 11:28 a.m. And that's going to be between the moon in Sagittarius and Chiron in Aries. So we'll keep the moon out here. Here is that trine card. And here we have the Hierophant Chiron and then being in Aries. And so a trine is a very supportive, harmonious aspect. That's because Aries is a fire sign and Sagittarius is a fire sign. So they're both speaking the same language. They understand each other very well. And so our emotions are going to be working well with our wounded healer. The way I kind of see this aspect here is kind of that wounded healer looking for meaning and purpose, with the moon being in Sagittarius. So I think that works very well. Great thing to be happening here. We want to look for that purpose and meaning from our past injuries, our those hard times that we've gone through. It's good to reflect on that and see, okay, what can we learn from the past and how can we use that to help ourselves and help those around us. So that's all about that Chiron wounded healer energy there. So from there, we move on to a sextile happening at 12:41 p.m. and that's between Mercury in Cancer and Venus in Taurus. So I'll leave that one here. It'll be functioning as Taurus now. Here's our sextile card. Here is Venus in Taurus. And here we have Mercury in Cancer, which is represented by the Three of Cups. And so what we get here with Mercury being in Cancer is a very social card with the Three of Cups, right? The Three of Cups is all about having fun, kind of, enjoying the company of others and just that whole kind of environment, which works really well with Venus in Taurus because Taurus is all about like bodily pleasure and supporting other people. And, it's a very nurturing kind of aspect here with Venus being in Taurus, which is its home sign. So it's very comfortable there. So great energies here that just kind of feed off one another and really help support each other. Taurus here is an earth sign. Cancer is a water sign. And so water and earth flow very well together. Water nurtures earth and helps the earth elements to kind of produce and be nurturing as well. So it's very kind of synastry type of thing going on there. So wonderful to see. It should be a good time of the day where some fun can happen, where some good connections might be going on. So do hopefully look forward to that. Okay. From here, we move on to the next aspect, which is at 12:58 p.m. And this time it'll be a trine. So here is our trine card. The trine is happening between the moon in Sagittarius and Mars in Leo. So again, we pull out the moon in Sagittarius cards. Here is Mars, Leo, represented by the Seven of Wands. All right, and this is harmonious because Leo is a fire sign, Sagittarius is a fire sign. So again, same kind of energy there with that. Works well together. Mars, very turbulent little energy here, wants to change things around, wants to take action. And Sagittarius can be quite a bit of that too. It wants to go seek adventure. It's a very brave kind of zodiac sign in that sense that it wants to seek something new and see what's out there, right? All in the name of purpose and meaning. But together, I think this creates a good opportunity to change something up for the better, to bring some desired result, some meaningful result about. So with Mars being in Leo, we get this beautiful card here, Seven of Wands, which is all about how we respond to chaos around us. When things are falling apart, we can show strength, which is really great. And I think the Seven of Wands here does a beautiful job of showing us that, these wands are kind of pointed at the woman and she's just sitting there being cool, being in control. And that's a great example, something we can kind of take to heart with us, that no matter what's happening around us, we can be in control of our own emotions and our own actions. So don't let the chaos around you throw you off. And the moon being in Sagittarius is definitely going to be supporting that for us, which is great. Like the Nine of Wands shows us, this woman here, she's standing guard. She has some boundaries in place and she's keeping a watchful eye out for, she's not being super trusting. So kind of good energies to have there, just to be mindful of what's happening around us, not being reactive and just knowing kind of what our boundaries are. Again, good flowing energies here with these being a trine to each other. From here, the next aspect is a quincunx, and it'll be happening at 4:27 p.m. I'll keep the trine card out for that. The quincunx is between the moon in Saturn, so we'll leave that there, and Uranus in Taurus. So I brought out the opposition card because a quincunx is kind of in between these two aspects. It wants to trine, it wants to oppose. It doesn't quite see eye to eye. It kind of goes back and forth, teeter-totters. So let me see here. Let's pull the Uranus and Taurus cards. Taurus there and Uranus here. So Sagittarius fire sign, Taurus earth sign. the moon here being very introspective, kind of soulful and thoughtful, right? It's about that internal life. And then the Fool here is, there's that word foolhardy, right? Where you just want to throw yourself into a situation without really thinking it through. So we see there, just with those words, how we might have an opposition just based on Temperance and the Fool here. The Fool wants to throw themselves into this new situation, like the card shows us, but Temperance wants to take things step by step. They're balancing the moon and the sun, right? They want to have that balance of these two kind of different elements there. And so that's going to be some of that tension that we see. Also with the fire sign in Sagittarius and the earth sign here for Taurus. So there's a bit of, not tension so much, but it's not water and in earth. It's not air and fire. So there is, fire can scorch the land sometimes. And the earth can sometimes put out a fire, right? When we throw dirt on a fire, it puts the fire out. So can be some opposing energies there as well. Where we do have some things in common that might bring us to the trine is thinking about how Sagittarius has that longing for adventure, that longing to explore and see new things, see what's out there, all in the name of finding meaning and purpose. And so that goes well with Uranus, the Fool, which is also about kind of being progressive and seeing what's new and what's out there and change. So that's where we can see some of that trine energy. The moon and Taurus also go very well together. The moon is all about nurturing and kind of that protective energy, and that goes wonderfully with Taurus, which is about nurturing and kind of growing new things. So that's how we can see these energies working together there. Again, this is happening at 4:27 p.m., so later on in the day. All right, following this, we have a shift for the moon. The moon is going to enter Capricorn. So I'll leave the moon card there. And here we have the Devil card, which represents Capricorn. And so when the moon enters Capricorn, it's a lot about a sense of duty, trying to get organized, right? Capricorn rules the 10th house, which is all about career. So our feelings might be more focused on career advancement. Our thoughts might be on the job. We might be getting some feelings about our work or like responsibilities to others, like our family, things like that. And so that's the shift that's happening at 6:55 p.m. So later, kind of, closer to nighttime there, shifting in priorities there, shifting of where our emotional priorities will be. Next, we have another opposition, this time at 7:54 p.m. between the moon in Capricorn and Jupiter in Cancer. So here we have the moon in Capricorn opposing Jupiter in Cancer. And so this is a little shift that we had going on just on Monday this week. Jupiter moved into Cancer. I have a tarot reading for that. I have a whole other video for it. So if you're interested in that, go check that video out. But here we have the opposition happening at 7:54 p.m. And so we see that tug between career and work, duties, responsibilities, and caring for the self, caring for our home, caring for our loved ones. So again, we can see a way that these things might come together where there could be some sort of crossover or compromise. With Capricorn, that sense of duty could come into the household, maybe a sense of duty for our family and loved ones. But there is also that tension between work and home. So just something to be aware of happening at 7:54 p.m. Okay. From here, we move on to two squares and the final two aspects of the day. Happening at 9:07 p.m. is the first square, and it's between the moon in Capricorn and Saturn in Aries. Here's the little square card. Here is Aries, and Saturn. This is another planetary shift that happened earlier this year. Again, I did do a collective tarot reading for that. I like to do those collective tarot readings for these planetary shifts because it's just kind of fun. You know, these ones are going to last a good while. I think it's like over 2 years for Saturn in Aries. And so it's just kind of fun to see, you know, things to think about during that transit. Anyway, focusing back to the square that we have here, this is a lot about how we get things done. Aries is all about, you know, going head on to tackle the task, whereas Capricorn is more strategic. They want to, you know, take measured steps. The goat climbs the mountain, but the mountain is treacherous, and so they have to be very thoughtful and cautious in how they go about doing things. The nice thing here is that Saturn is the ruling planet for Capricorn, so there is that opportunity there for these two to kind of vibe off each other. And I think this transit just says a lot about how we handle things in the face of obstacles and challenges. So Saturn can be a planet about obstacles and challenges. And Aries is very headstrong, and that's where they kind of struggle, right? Aries wants to get things done, but Saturn is like, not so fast. And so the question about how we handle things in the face of challenges might come back to our emotional state here with Capricorn being connected to the moon at this transit. And so again, I think that just speaks to being a little more strategic in the face of challenges. All right, and then at 10:51 p.m. we move to the final square, which is between the moon in Capricorn and Neptune in Aries. And here we have Neptune. And again, it's kind of similar to the previous square where we have these two cardinal signs, Capricorn and Aries, that want to both tackle situations, but from very different angles or very different point of views. You know, Capricorn being strategic, Aries being a little more impulsive there. Neptune is all about kind of a fantasy of a thing, dreams. And so in this case, it might be fantasizing or idealizing Aries type leadership. You know, we may want to be a little bit more Aries, or the world around us might be idealizing Aries type leadership, but internally we feel a little bit different about things. And so that's where that square is happening, where our possibly external reality isn't quite matching our internal sense. And that's where we'll need to find, you know, ways to kind of work through this so that we're not just at constant odds with the world around us, and rather that we find a solution to this little situation here. And it comes back to having a common goal at the end of the day, you know, and so having those compromises is good. Squares aren't impossible. It's just a challenge to work through. Like it says here, a mountain to climb, which is actually perfect for Capricorn because they're the goat and they will climb that mountain. So there we have it. This is the last aspect for the night. It's happening at 10:51 p.m. So that's kind of good. At least it's towards the end of the night. You might want to practice a little bit of journaling or something, you know, to jot down your thoughts about how you may want to tackle things the next day or for the next week or month. And just mainly to get things off your head so that you're not mulling things over all night, because that can be not great fun when you have to get up to work the next day. But all right, so I'll finish it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you. Bye.